All right, shalom, shalom. Just testing out the audio. All right, awesome, awesome. All right, so yeah. So first of all, we want to say Kalal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Kodash. Double honor to the apostles of Great Stone and shalom to the Akim pushing this word in sincerity and in truth. All right. Much blessings, to the hopeful elect, and I mean to the members of the elect, peace, love, and blessings, and I mean, and also to the sisters and those that believe and help the ministry, shalom to you all as well. All right. So we're just gonna get right into it, and I mean, but first I'm gonna read a precept. I mean, all right, and this is all right. So because the computer is kind of is going a little slow, um, not able to actually open too many tabs. I'm actually gonna close some of these. All right. So I'm gonna just read from my end. All right, from my phone. All right. So this is Habakkuk 2 and verse 1. It says, "I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, Write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it." Right? And the vision is has been written, I mean, the vision being the prophecies that we are seeing fulfilling, and I mean, day by day, right? All these updates, these articles, these news, right? Th- Everything we see happen before you are basically, a part of the prophecy. Even the most insignificant thing, or what might seem as an insignificant thing, I mean, is also a part of it, right? But we only focus on the major aspects of the prophecies, the main aspects of the prophecies. You know what I mean? Because, in order, certain things are gonna happen and certain things will happen, based of chain reactions from certain events. You know what I mean? So we're only focusing on the main aspects of the prophecies, right? Right, and right now we're in at the time of the the mark of the beast. I mean, the mark of the MOTB, shoot, the MOTB system, I mean, being set into place, right, which ultimately or eventually will lead to the mandatory or the mandating of the RFID chip, which is the MOTB, right? So I'm go back into the precept. Now we jump into the article. Right? It says, and again it says, and the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Right? For the vision, which the prophecies, is set for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. Right? And we are in the end where the visions or the prophecies are speaking. We are seeing the vision, the prophecies clearly before our eyes, right? And not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, right? And if we were, as some, as some others, being impatient, losing hope, losing faith, because we don't see certain things that happen immediately, I mean, then guess what? We would have missed these prophecies, I mean, we would have missed out, because then we would have dropped guard and we wouldn't even know how to actually read the signs of the times, right? Be in essence, you would have lose the spirit basically. Yeah. So it says, though it tarry, wait for it, right? Because it's set for an appointed time. So not because they don't see it coming immediately doesn't mean it's not going to come, right? It says because it will surely come, it will not tarry. You know what I mean? So with that said, we're just gonna jump right into the first article here, and just um what do you call it now? For the interest of time, I'm not gonna read the entirety of all these articles. We're just going to go in, bring out a few points, and that's it. But what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and just add them to the chat here, so that you brothers watching can actually click on these articles and pull them up yourselves, hopefully. All right, so this is the first one. All right, it says more public Wi-Fi hotspots coming. All right, and that's out here in Jamaica. In recent months, within the timeline of about summer, or a little bit before summer, there was a rollout of public Wi-Fi hotspots within certain key areas, certain key towns in the island. I mean, Port Antonio being one. You had one that was set up first in Halfway, the Mandela Park, right? Basically free Wi-Fi within free public Wi-Fi basically. Yeah. So now they are heading for community spread, or community, the community aspect, right? It says the government is targeting 28 out of 189 selected communities for the deployment of Wi-Fi hotspots by the end of October, as it rolls out more public hotspots across the island, right? So they started with the major towns, now they are going into the communities, going to a community level. It says all 189 communities are expected to have hotspots fully deployed by July next year, with the phased program. Hotspots are expected to be deployed in 32 more communities by January 2022, as the government races to narrow the gap in the digital divide, right? Which it's not about narrowing the gap, the digital divide, right? It's all about pushing the digital agenda. You know what I mean? Everything ties in with the major prophecy, which is the MOTB beast system. You know what I mean? All of it ties in, which eventually will lead to the MOTB itself. You know what I mean? So this plan is not about um filling the gap in any digital divide. You know what I mean? There is an agenda, yeah, and that is exactly what this is for. You know what I mean? Out here in Jamaica, which is the reason why, out here in Jamaica, you have the NIDS in development, which will be a digital form of identification. You will have a physical identification card, but it will be used digitally. You know what I mean? We also have the CBDC, which is Jamaica's central bank digital currency. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, right. More and more you have banks pushing their mobile banking applications. You know what I mean? Slowly putting um human, I call it now, slowly putting their physical or human um employees out of jobs. You know what I mean? Because everything is to going digital basically. And Scotiabank has actually turned a lot of their physical branches into digital branches. Seen. What else we have? We also have a system set in place for health, a digital system set in place for health, and we're going to get into that soon. All right, let's see. So let's go into, all right, let's see what this says. Um, okay, right. Okay, so now if we went, all right, so we don't have to actually go fully into this. All right. Akim can actually read the articles as me say, I'm gonna post them in the chat, so Akim can actually go into them if they want to. You know, Akim and Aquas. All right, this is kind of slow. Um, okay. All right. So it says right here now. Right, it said the community component of the public Wi-Fi intervention is complementary to the provision of free Wi-Fi at major sites, right? As we mentioned before, it's under the Universal Service Fund, which is spearheading this initiative in partnership with the National Works Agency. All right. The expansion of public Wi-Fi hotspots is being rolled out in 4 phases, with the fourth and final stage being full deployment of the final 69 sites by the end of the first quarter of 2022-23. All right. So yeah, the aim is to have public Wi-Fi for free public Wi-Fi all over the island. All right, and it's not to fix the digital gap. You know what I mean? It is not so that everybody can get for access WhatsApp or Instagram for free without have to put on a data plan. No, that's not the idea. And I mean that's not the plan. It's all about their digital agenda, and I mean which goes into their sustainable development goals, also their the great reset as well. You know what I mean? The fourth industrial revolution. You know what I mean? All right, so this is the website for the Universal Service Fund. All right. It says we are an agency under the Ministry of Science, Energy, and Technology, mandated to ensure access to information and communication technology tools to facilitate development. To facilitate development. In 2005, the USF began operation as the Universal Access Fund Company Limited. The establishment of the USF followed a ministerial order which mandated that all domestic telecommunications providers collect a universal service levy on all inbound telephone calls. Today, the USF uses these funds for the execution of a myriad of national ICT projects in a bid to ensure Jamaica becomes a knowledge-based society. Okay, all right. So let me just put this here as well, so Akim can actually go more into what the USF is, or to find out more information on the USF. All right, so here we have DAISY, right? DAISY Health Technology. All right, monitoring health to blossom. All right, so basically DAISY is electronic health records. Um, electronic health records technology basically. You know what I mean? Let me go here. So I believe this is where I've read the information. Let's copy this too while that loads. Okay. Um, okay, back to Daisy. Yeah, so like for the delay, system definitely needs to restart. All right, so we're gonna read this one. It says Daisy Daisy offers a secure cloud-based data storage system which helps reduce the need for bulky file cabinets in the office, right? The comprehensive online health record management ecosystem to the platform from any location with internet able to pull up your health information on the spot. Once them have internet, yes me. So now we see how even the free public Wi-Fi initiative actually ties in with this system as well. Because hey, let's say somebody faint or have an emergency in public in the street, and an ambulance come by, them able to pull up that person's health information based on what? Using what? Their NIDS. Again, so now we see where everything is tying in. Everything is tying in as one, right? It says the comprehensive health online health record management ecosystem allows the medical service provider access to the platform from any location with internet service. Patients are able to view their health records through a patient app. All right. Seen. It says Daisy is HIPAA compliant as OWASP Top 10 and GDRP certifications. Let's go pull up these so we have a better understanding of what these acronyms actually mean. All right, so still having loading issues. System definitely needs to restart. All right, so HIPPA or HIPAA, right? It says Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, right? And just a brief reading, it says the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996 is a United States federal statute enacted by the 104th United States Congress and signed into law by President Bill Clinton, August 2021. Right. Oh, and don't be mistaken. And this is just an assumption still, but don't be mistaken. This Daisy thing don't actually seem like a Jamaican made thing. It is being advertised here, because I came across it before, and I believe Gleaner are one of those websites, one of those news websites, right? That's where I came across it at first. So it is being advertised out here in Jamaica. No, I believe I came across it on a YouTube ad first, you know, if I remember correctly, right? And then I came across it on one of these news websites, right? So yeah, it is being advertised out here in Jamaica. So yes, it is a part of. It seems to be a part of the system that Jamaica is developing. Once we get more information in that, right, we'll definitely know for sure. But as for now, there isn't anything that mentions Jamaica. It even has a well, this is a, I believe that is a 888 toll free number. Um, okay, okay. So they do actually based on the information here. It doesn't seem to be a Jamaican made, or it's not. It does not originate in Jamaica. So this could actually be a part of the system that everybody actually end up using, because even though you're seeing different um technologies and systems being developed all over the world, everything will eventually become one, right? Because if the MOTB will be one thing, then it has to have one system to use it. Everything will be one basically. That's what I'm saying. Right? So even though you see a lot of things now, everything will consolidate into one. All right. So going to going into some different article here. Therefore, let me see if I can. I'm gonna bring out the next precept in the meantime. All right. Bring out the next precept. All right. So this is Psalm 64 and verse 5. It says they encourage. So like no, verse 2. All right. It says, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him, and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They encourage themselves in an evil matter." All right. Speaking of, the elites, those who actually run the system, Esau, Edom, according to the scriptures, Esau will be the one um basically ruling over the earth, right? Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. All right, he covered the faces of the judges thereof. All right, so continuing, it says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter, they commune of laying snares privily. Right, all of them councils, all of them meetings, all of them gatherings, right, is all about um how them can better develop their plans and to bring in their new world order. See? And the every in order for bring that in, there has to be a lot of traps set for people, just like the biggest trap that we're in right now, where everybody is being forced to get waxed, right? Everybody is being forced to get waxed, yo. See? It says they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, right? A diligent search. Right? These men have been going at this for years. They have been developing their plans for years, yo. And I just yesterday them come out and say, oh, let's start a new. From I was a kid, I've been hearing about New World Order, yo. Seeing from I was a kid. So that just to show you how long these men have been planning this thing, yo, right? That's why the scripture say they accomplish a diligent search. I mean, um, right? It says both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. See? Yeah. So let's jump in at this. All right. So YouTube, you know, actually start up them campaign. Oh, and here we go. See, we have our next advertisement here for Daisy Health Technology. All right. Oh, okay. So it seems to be a new thing because here it says patent pending. All right. So they haven't gotten the patent as yet. Okay. All right. So, um, okay. So YouTube announced a sweeping crackdown of waxing misinformation yesterday, that booted popular anti-vaccine influencers from its site and deleted false claims that have been made uh, about a range of immunizations. The video sharing platform said it will no longer allow users to baselessly speculate that approved waxes like the ones given to prevent the flu or measles are dangerous or cause diseases. All right. YouTube's latest attempt to stem a tide of waxing misinformation comes as countries around the globe struggle to convince a somewhat waxing hesitant public to accept the free immunizations that scientists say will end the novel pandemic that, probably should have used that word, but whatever. It says will held the novel Crown Royal that began 20 months ago. The tech platform, which is owned by Google, already tried to ban CO19 waxing misinformation last year at the height of the pandemic, right? We've steadily seen false claims about the virus vaccine spill over into misinformation about vaccine in general. And we are now at a point where it's more important than ever to expand the work we started. Right. So basically, long story short, YouTube is now going further down um, into their censorship campaign, because that's exactly what this is. I mean, censorship, right? Right. Yeah. So, so like, yeah, right. However, them do have a few pages that will actually be able to, that will not be removed, right? Just to go down into it. Um, All right, it says, but as is common when tech platforms announce stricter rules, loopholes remain for anti-waxing misinformation to spread on YouTube. Claims about waxing that are being tested will still be allowed. And I mean, so you can still say, oh, these are being tested, you know. It says personal stories about reactions to the vaccine will also be permitted as long as they do not come from an account that has a history of promoting vaccine misinformation, right? All right, so there's loopholes, but it depends on who you are or what your type of content is. It says, despite tech companies announcing a string of new rules around and vaccine misinformation during the falsehoods have still found big audiences on the platforms, right? All right. So yeah, we see, and going down into the article, it mentions Facebook, Instagram, and I mean, and Twitter, right? Basically banning. All right. It says, hold on. Let me just read here. So it says in March, Twitter began labeling content that made misleading claims about CO19 vaccine and said it would ban accounts that repeatedly share such posts. Facebook, which also owns Instagram, had already prohibited posts claiming that CO19 vaccines cause infertility or contain tracking microchips. And in February announced it would similarly remove claims that vaccines are toxic or can cause health problems such as autism. Yet, popular anti vaccine influencers remain live on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where they actively use the platforms to sell books or videos. Right. Okay. Right. So, right. So, long story short, again, YouTube and other platforms are basically cracking down further on so-called misinformation concerning, I mean, vaccines, um, and over here we have another article. I think this is gonna be the last article I'm going at this morning. All right, it says telecommunications provider Digicel has given its employees until October 15th to get waxed, or be required to prove through the provision of PCR test results every 2 weeks that they do not have CO19, right? And this is something that we're seeing from companies, larger companies all over Jamaica. And you also have some smaller companies as well that are actually making this push. I mean, and very soon, as a matter of fact, it's practically mandatory at Digicel, which is what this is. You know what I mean? Because they're saying that you will not be, Digicel is basically saying that, um based off, other information, that persons will not be allowed to work from home in order to avoid getting getting waxed, right? So they're making a serious push out here in Jamaica, these companies, in order to get people to take this thing, right? And as a matter of fact, I think I definitely should bring out this as well, right? So yeah, we see where these companies are making a push, right? First, you did have company like Tech, what I mean? Yeah, you also have certain call centers. They're still neutral about it, what I mean? They are putting certain things, certain special policies in place, what I mean? Whereas, let's say you get the thing, right? Um, or let's say you catch the thing after getting waxed. Then, if you miss work, you have certain you have the ability to get what, 70% of what you would have made if you had worked. I believe that is what they're saying, they were saying, what I mean? But yeah, special provisions are being put in place for people who get their wax, you know and Anjo Neseo, hey, the anti-waxed will not, or the non-waxed will not be getting a free ride, for off the box of the ones that are waxed. But um, that goes into saying, right, right, waxing expiry date dispute. Seen. It says opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Maurice Guy, yesterday argued that if the government had started its vaccine program in deep rural communities much sooner, a substantial portion of the remaining 60,000 doses of AZ wax could have been used by their September 30 expiration date, which is today. Right? So basically the argument is that a lot of these things, lot of doses will have to be um um will go to waste. Basically, they will have to actually throw them out because of expiration date. No, I understand that they're saying that it's because, if they're saying that, if they had reached out into the deep rural communities, basically bushy areas, bad road and all these things, if they had reached out, if the opposition is saying that if the government had reached out to those areas, mobile, right, then these doses would have to have been wasted, right? No, another argument, this is not something that I've heard, seen, but it just came to me, right? Them Another argument where them can have is that it's because of those who are hesitant. And I mean, if they weren't hesitant, then the doses wouldn't have been wasted. The life-saving medicine would not have been wasted. What I mean? So no, you see where there's going to be a lot of backlash, a lot of crackdown on people who are hesitant about this thing. And I mean? And little by little, you will have people that are going to break and take it. I mean? Because you already have people who are say, oh, them not take it until it become mandatory, or unless it is mandatory, or unless their livelihood is threatened. Those people stand for nothing. What I mean? They are just being hesitant because them want to be hesitant, or them want to be a part of something. But no, when you're doing this thing, as a man of the Lord, you have to stand for something, yo. I mean? If you stand for the Lord word, then you stand for the Lord word. Seeing which, hey, when the time of Jacob's trouble come, right, and the hour of temptation comes into play, a lot of people will buckle. I mean? And this will be a perfect example of that, because we already already a lot of people who were so-called headstrong and against it end up having to take it in order for either so-called travel, or for continue for keep them job or whatever it is them get threatened with, you know. So like, yeah, so yeah. um So all in all, all of this is being set up as a trap, what I mean, to trap the people. And we have none other than Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Christopher Tufton, the main culprits out here in Jamaica that are that are sacrificing the Lord's people, yo. I mean, to Esau's system. See? Right? Them align up the Most High people, Israel, right? Even though them rebellious and hard is seen, but that gives them no right to basically be sacrificing the Lord's people to Esau's wicked system, what I mean, in order to get a payday, right? Because we all know that there's something, these men were promised something, what I mean, in order to be pushing this agenda, this this baseless um this baseless no foundation agenda, yo, that where when you put reasoning to it, it makes no sense. Yeah. So continuing from Psalm 64, and let's go to verse we were at verse 7. It says, but the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded, so that so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Right? All men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in Yahweh, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. Yeah, so hey, we're going to continually trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, because as a matter of fact, this precept um perfectly expounds and shows you exactly how this thing will go down, right? You're gonna have the deception, the trap, right? The Mosiah is going to shoot at the wicked, I mean, he's going to tear them down, and then at the end, the righteous shall be glad and rejoice in the Lord. I mean? So we at the point now where the agendas are being pushed, the trap is being set. All we have to do is to hold out, continue for trusting in the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. I mean, believe in him, call upon his name, ask him for help. Seeing? Because as I said, the scripture, this precept right here gives you the perfect breakdown, a perfect breakdown of the timeline. I mean? And there's other precepts out there as well that gives you a perfect breakdown of the timeline. I mean? You're gonna have the deception, right? The Heavenly Father is going to take the rulership from Esau, right? And the righteous are gonna be glad. The righteous shall be set up, right? If we go in a Job, it tell with the same thing. I mean, when he's about to fill his belly, right? The Heavenly Father, I go turn everything back. As a matter of fact, I'm just get it and done, right? Um, right, verse 20, Job 20 and 22, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits, right? Let's see what, give me a sec. Right. So, yeah. So, in the fullness of his sufficiency shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Right. And the word wicked is from the Hebrew word aimal, and it means laborer or sufferer, which, in other words, is Israel. That's us. You know what I mean? And the scriptures already tell us, by the hands of Israel, the hands of his people, Israel, the Most High shall bring down Edom, yo. You know what I mean? it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits, right? So when Esau thinks that, hey, this is it, you know what I mean? I'm on top of the world. Hey, the Heavenly Father, I go disappoint him, yo. Right? The Heavenly Father is going to take everything from him. Right? It says, when he's about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Right? The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. So everything are gonna be taken from these men, right? From their, they are going to be stripped of everything, their rulership, them power, them riches, all of it is going to be removed from them, yo. You know what I mean? It says, this is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High. You know what I mean? So it tell us, say, yo, look, these men will be raised up, but at the end, the Heavenly Father is going to throw them down, right? The Heavenly Father is going to disappoint them. The Heavenly Father is going to remove everything from them, which is why Revelation 12 and 12, you know what I mean? The devil come down upon you having great wrath. Seen? All right. As a matter of fact, let me just read it. 12 and 12 Revelation. Therefore, rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Right? That's why you see. That's why you see a lot of things are get pushed all at once. You know what I mean? You have the economy where I go down, which is a part of them plan, right? You have the digital system is being set up in the meantime while the economy is getting being collapsed. You know what I mean? You have um well, again, right? You have them fourth industrial revolution where them a push, right, which is not more than sustainable development, agenda 2030, every, all of those past, what you call it now, legislation, no, not legislations, all of those past names what them used to call it, seen, it all comes down to to what they're calling the fourth industrial revolution now, right? Revelation 13 and 5, wait, not 15, the um mm, right, yeah, verse 15, it says, and he hath power to give life unto the image of the beast, with, and as I said, the system that they're pushing right now, what you see, what you're seeing being pushed right now, that's the image of the beast, you know what I mean? From the whole, the vaccine, the pandemic, right? All of these um what you call it now, all the censorship where you see it take place, you know what I mean, the digital systems that are being developed, all of these things, are basically the image of the beast, the system that everything that you see happening right now around, and I mean, which eventually will lead into the MOTB, which is the mark, and I mean, which is going to be that physical thing that you will receive. Seen, but what we're in right now is the transition phase into that. So, seen. So, make, yeah, power to life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right. Right. So nobody not necessarily get killed right now, but it starts with the censorship. You know what I mean? It has started out with the censorship, right? And yeah, well, you do have people where actually get put to death. People where called, you have certain so-called whistleblowers, I mean, where mysteriously get put to death or mysteriously develop an illness and just die, right? Uh, where was I? Yeah, and and also the basically the ostracization of a lot of people, yo. And I mean, who actually speak out against the image of the beast, right? But eventually it will become where people are gonna actually get put to death, right, for refusing the image, right, on the mark. All right. It says, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Salakia, not there. Verse to be killed. Verse 16 it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. And I mean, which is Chi Psi Stigma. And you know, I mean, I'm actually interested to see or to hear what them are gonna say when the Chi and the Psi and the stigma variant of the breeze, actually come out. I mean, because them already a push, them already a push these different variants. So I know say eventually, you know, them are gonna keep it up, and them are gonna bring out a Chi and a Psi and a stigma. Maybe not in that exact order, but you know, yeah. So oh, also, right, the mark. See, the mark is, as we say, as we always say, the mark is a physical mark, yo. All right, it's not a spiritual mark, it is a physical mark which will be inserted on their skin, seen, which is the RFID, um the RFID microchip, right, which will be inserted on their skin, right. Oh, also, don't forget, this hasn't been in the news a lot, but don't forget about the Internet of Things as well. Seen, I've been seeing a lot of information coming up about that, are articles, but that is still a real thing. Seen, yeah. So you know, oh yeah, going into the mark, right? The word mark there is from the Greek word charagma, and I mean, which basically represents a physical mark. I mean, whether it won't be a stamp or a tattoo, an etching, right? A physical mark, seen. And the word charagma goes into the comes from, I should say, the root word harax, right, which represents a sharp instrument, a sharp pointed instrument, right. And the root of the word harax goes into grapho, right, which is basically information, right. It says commit to writing things not to be forgotten, you know yeah, so all of that goes right into the RFID, what I mean, which will hold, it will not hold all, it will not be holding your information, but it will give access to the avenues that have the information, because the RFID chip is not something where actually have we call it now, a million terabytes of memory, right? But what it does have, similar to the NIDS, is a specific number, right? That's specific to you, to one individual. You know what I mean? In For the NIDS, it's called the NIN number. I don't quite remember what the abbreviation means, but it's called the NIN number, right? And that basically pulls up that person's records, or you're able to pull up that person's records based on their NIN number. right? So their records are not actually stored on the chip itself, which, a lot of people probably mistaken and feel like, say, oh, that's what you're you're saying when you say the NI, when you describe what the RFID chip does. But hopefully, this lesson was edifying. We've been almost an hour, so we're just going to end it here. I was going to bring out, a couple more precepts, but we're just going to end it here. Hopefully it was edifying. Once a kalalali how bashimi how shy bashimi kakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and shalom to the Akim pushing his word in sincerity and truth. All right. So the last thing I'm doing is just adding the rest of the articles. All right. So they can be accessed. Yeah, that's it.